Hello people, how are you doing today? My name is Michaela Valletta, also known as the Renaissance Amazon. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I am many things, an artist and a scientist, all centered around the body. I am a dancer, serious student of dances of the African diaspora, particularly in the Americas and the Congo. And so with that comes music and songs, okay? I am very much into anthropology and history and into how we were in our pre-colonial state, okay? Before our minds were colonized, okay? So that's just a little bit of background on where I'm coming from in this video. I'm also a trainer and nutritionist as well. But today I wanted to talk about young Dolph's death and some things around that are on my mind. And I want to talk about just trap music in general and the other side of it, the dance side of it, okay, which is why I love it. And so many women, you know, they say pretty girls love trap music. Pretty girls do love trap music. And so as a student of the dances of the African diaspora, the booty dances of the world, I want to speak about the twerking trap side of it as well. So that's what I'm going to be speaking about today. I did a video prior to this where I started talking about young Dolph, and that video started off talking about Leos, right? And so check that video if you haven't seen that video. And just briefly, I was talking about how there's a few reasons why I felt, you know, really bothered by his death. Few weird things. You know, first of all, he is a Leo like myself, as was Nipsey Hussle. And I feel, and even Whitney Houston, right? So we all know Whitney Houston could sing, you know, better than anybody, and she was beautiful enough to be a supermodel, right? We know that she was a tortured soul, may she rest in peace. But she didn't even have to try to claim the spotlight. She was just that amazing. It just is what it is, you know? She was not a hip-hop artist, so she didn't talk mess or whatever. But you have with Nipsey and young Dolph, I was really kind of bothered, especially when Nipsey first happened, because it was something to me that was like pure hatred. Like somebody hated him that much. And I've dealt with a lot of attacks, okay? And I don't talk about it much. People who are very close to me who know my life and have witnessed my life have seen it. I said that when I get to the age that I am now, that I would write a book and talk about a lot of things that have happened. It's been constant work to keep myself sane. And in the midst of it, I've had people that have really gone out their way to try to destroy my life, that have done really horrible things. And there were times when I thought, if this person had enough money to get someone to kill me or physically harm me, they probably would. And so I was thankful that even though what I was going through was painful and destructive, my physical body was still intact. And I still had my life, right? And so with someone like Nipsey, it's scary when, you know, someone hates you so much and then they have the money to get you. It's no escaping it, right? And so protection is important, whether it be spiritual or physical. I feel like Leos, a lot of times, I'm not saying we're the only ones that get hate, but I do feel like there's a lot of hate that comes our way when we're just being who we are. And we have big hearts. Our heart is our strength and our weakness. Leos really care and are loyal. And we really care about helping people to a fault. So we know that Nipsey was doing great things for his community, as was Dolph, right? I think they're both good dudes. The thing that really disturbed me about Dolph, see, for me, I've never been, I love hip hop, let me say that, okay? So some of the things that I'm gonna say too is gonna also be criticism of hip hop and in defense of hip hop, okay? There's both. There's a lot of ways to look at things. You know, young Dolph, you know, he talks about in his music how he was a crack baby, okay? He was born in the 80s, 4 years younger than me. And there were a lot of crack babies in the 80s. You know, that's not my story. I'm from Harlem. My parents weren't crack addicts. Nobody in my family was. My mom I did have one brother who was a drug addict when I was a kid, but I don't even think it was crack. I think it was something else. And then he got off of it. He didn't even live in New York. But as an adult, almost everybody I know from Harlem, they had crack heads in their family or something, right? We know it hit bad, but it wasn't just Harlem. It's like all the cities in the country. And so for him to, and honestly, a lot of the crack babies that I've known, they end up being dynamic people. Like Keisha Cole's mom was a crackhead. I don't know if Keisha Cole was a crack baby, I don't know. But I know her mom was a crackhead. And Keisha Cole's gorgeous. She can sing her ass off. I've personally known people who've had moms who were on crack, and they're like tall and well-built and strong people. So a lot of them, end up being dynamic people. Dolph was a dynamic person. But just to put that in context and to think about somebody who came from that, who, both of his parents were drug addicts. He was raised by his grandmother. He speaks about how strict she was and how she went out of her way to try to protect him and his two brothers. But she was an old lady. What's an old lady going to do with three boys in Memphis, right? The fact that, right before he was murdered, a really good friend of mine was in Memphis. It wasn't even a week prior. One of my best friends, he was in Memphis, and he saw Dolph in this restaurant, the soul food restaurant, right, at night. And he went up to him and took a picture and was talking to him. And my friend D, he's a very fun dude who, he's a regular dude who knows a lot of people, and he's just somebody that everybody likes, men and women. He's just a really dope person. And he was talking to Dolph, and, Dolph was like, I'm gonna hit you up when I come to DC. And he sent, my friend D sent the picture to me, and it was just like, oh my God, because I am a fan of his work. I haven't heard all his music, but I always, liked him. And so it was like, that's so dope. And a few days later, he gets killed. And then I look, and I was like shocked by that, like, whoa. And then I look and I see he got killed in front of Makeda's cookies. Now, I pronounce my name Makeda. Some people pronounce it Makeda, okay? I say Makeda, so I'm just gonna say Makeda's cookies, okay? And I found that really strange because I'm like, my name is Ethiopian, right? I'm not gonna say it's not common because I have known a lot of people with my name. A lot of people that meet me tell me they never met anybody with my name, but I've known plenty of people with my name. Even on Clubhouse, there's I've seen 50 people with my name. But it's still not super, especially to be in Memphis, right? Because it's an Ethiopian name. Makeda was the Queen of Sheba. I meet Jamaicans with that name sometimes if they're Rasta families. But to have that name in Memphis, I was like, in Memphis of all places, Makeda's? That was kind of weird. And that kind of was just whoa, to me. And then it was just I was just highly disturbed when I didn't know about his family before. He has two beautiful kids. And, Black fathers are so important. I get so sick. I hear so many. One of the biggest issues with the Black community, okay, is the lack of fathers. Almost everybody I see that lack of fathers, like a good fathers, because some people have their fathers in their life, but they're not good. They might be hustlers and having them go hustle and get them involved in street life or whatever. But fathers in general, but good fathers in particular, right? You hear that story too much. Now, that wasn't my story. My dad was in my life every single day of my life. My brother and I grew up in Harlem in the height of the crack era, and we didn't get caught up in any of that. My brother never sold drugs, never got caught up in any of that. I believe a lot of that has to do with my dad being there in the house and being very present, okay? Because most of the dudes that I know that get caught up in street shit and dumb shit and getting arrested, they usually don't have a father in their life, okay? Or he's barely in their life or something. That's usually the case, right? And so then you hear so many Black people complain about this. I mean, really it's something that only Black men can fix. That can't be put on Black women's shoulders. Black women do a lot to try to help the Black community, but we can't heal everybody. Black women have to deal with a lot of burden, okay? Like his wife right now, she now has to deal with being unprotected. She has to now raise her kids without him. Then it's if you're even to date and find another man, it's just complicated. And I feel so bad for her, and constantly I hear this narrative all the time, especially lately, where people are talking about Black women are too masculine, Black women are too masculine, because, You have certain black women who make their own money or they're a boss, so they have to do what they have to do for themselves. It's like, how is that too masculine? First of all. And if you really believe that's masculine, well, what do you expect a woman to do? Like, we have to be able to take care of ourselves. We are adults. And I don't believe in putting yourself in a position where you're dependent on a man for your survival, because then you could end up in all kinds of fucked up situations, right? But she now has to, she has community, but she doesn't have her husband. So she has to boss up and step up. And a lot of black women get put in that situation. To me, we know Lauren London went through it. Like, to me, I think, the one thing about Dolph okay, so let me get into this hip hop thing, right? In criticism of hip hop, the talking about murder and violence is, could be a bit much. But it's the actual acting on it that's like the biggest just what the fuck. Because when you think about entertainment, right, there's a lot of really violent movies and violent video games. I don't play video games. I haven't played a video game since like 1989. So I don't know anything about video games, but I do know there's a lot of violent video games. And movies, okay? I'm not into horror movies. I really am into action movies, but you have action movies, gangster movies, horror movies where there's so much violence, grotesque violence, people getting shot, stabbed, things chopped off, and all kinds of sick, grotesque stuff. So just because somebody watches that in a movie doesn't mean that they're going to go out and do that. And if they're saying they shouldn't, and if they're saying they know it's a movie and it's entertainment, even though I don't understand why people find grotesque violence entertaining, but a lot of people do, okay? But that's okay, right? And nobody says, like, if you're, I just feel like hip hop is also art. Right? I guess one of the differences is that hip hop is supposed to be real. So if you're talking about violence and death, then people can assume, if it's supposed to be real, that you're about that life and you're doing those things. So that's one difference between hip hop and like violent movies. But I'm just saying, when you think about being an entertainer, it's a little bit different when you're in an entertainment headspace and in an artist headspace, okay? Because people are also artists. And we can definitely say Dolph was an artist because he had control over his own art. Sometimes somebody can be an entertainer and not be a full-out artist. You have entertainers who are doing what they're being dictated to do. And that especially happens to people signing contracts, which is why I know Dolph was independent for so long, because he wanted control over his stuff, right? I'm very much that kind of person. I am not somebody who could be a commercial model, because if Gatorade came to me and said, what, I'll pay you $1 million to get on this billboard. Of course, $1 million sounds great, but I can't fuck with Gatorade. Gatorade is poison. I could never tell anybody to drink Gatorade. I will not drink Gatorade. Gatorade is not good for you at all. Every time I see people drinking Gatorade, Powerade, I cringe. I would never consume that. I wouldn't even take a sip of it. So therefore, it's not in me to take money from you and then endorse it. That's the reason why, as a nutritionist and a trainer, I work for myself. I don't work in a hospital. I could have worked in a hospital, could work in a gym, and then you have to go by the guidelines that they're telling you, which is a bunch of nonsense. Because I'm about the truth and I really want to help people, I do it on my own. And when you do it on your own, it's so much more difficult. So anybody who becomes super successful on their own without a big machine behind them, you deserve all the praise. And if people hate you because of it and are mad because, they want a piece of it, and you're like, no, I'm good, which I feel like happened with Nipsey and with Dolph, okay? People wanting in on your success and wanting to invest in you to make more money off of you, and you say, I'm good. That upsets some people. The other thing, nobody knows for sure why Dolph was killed. Hold on a minute. But, I've heard also rumors, and I'm not saying this is true, I said they're rumors, that, he might have messed with the mother of Yo Gotti's kids, or I don't know, whatever. The thing is, And a lot of men, I don't know about nowadays, but I know back when my dad was a young man, men definitely in the South would shoot shots at a man that slept with their wife or something like that, which I think is crazy. To try to kill another man because he slept with your wife, because your wife wanted to sleep with him. He didn't rape your wife. He didn't rape your woman. And plus, this idea that you're a woman, your wife, your husband, whatever, that you own their body. You don't own her body anyway. Even though a lot of people think like that, they think, oh, that's my wife, like that's my possession, like I own their body. Or women think that about their husband. A lot of people think like that. But in all reality, people own their own bodies. So to kill another man because your woman wanted to do that and did that because she wanted to, but people do that because the male ego is fragile. You know, there's not as many women going out and kill another woman because she slept with her dude. She might flip out and do what, but kill her. But with men, you will see that more throughout history. Okay, the jealousy of it all. Money and sex. Men can be jealous of men who have more money than them, better at sex than them. And some men don't know that, and some men do. Okay, some men know. And men who might be bigger and stronger than them. Now, Dolph wasn't a big, strong, husky dude, you know. But you know, I'm just saying there was definitely a lot of jealousy pointed at him. Now, in terms of his music, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, but." Oh, hold on. Let me go back. So his wife, I don't know if you've seen her work. I'm actually going to repost one of her videos onto my Instagram page because she made she's an activist about, you know, around black men living to be old. Okay, she has a whole movement around that. Her brother was murdered last year by another black man, and he wasn't a street dude. He was selling used cars. And she had to go through that intense hurt, now lose her husband. So the one thing with Dolph, and I heard that he was with security. There's so many mixed things. I haven't been keeping track of everything, but there's a lot of things that you hear. Some people say he was with security. I just wish he didn't go to that shop, just like Nipsey, wanting to stay in the hood. See, the thing is, I don't know what it is with hood dudes and this love for the hood. Like, look, you can love your hood. You don't have to be there to help them. You know, you could buy a month worth of cookies and send the money electronically or some other kind of way. Get somebody else to do it. You don't need to go there. Like, you don't see, you know, like Jay-Z stopped coming to the hood a long time ago. You know, so it's like this black male hood mentality of, you know, I need to keep it real by always coming back. If you know somebody like in Dolph's situation in particular, if you know that people have been trying to kill you, like mad times, like, I would move very different. Because you have kids to live for now. It wasn't like it was just him. He had kids to live for. And it breaks my heart that they don't have him. And it just pisses me off. See, there's one thing, you know, like I always say, like I live in Chicago now. I feel like there's a special crop of super ignorant black people in Chicago. There's also a crop of amazingly excellent, you know, black business-minded, productive, you know, dope black people from Chicago, like the Michelle Obamas, right? So there's both. But I'm saying that the sheer ignorance that you have here among some of these people who just don't care. They're not afraid of anything, no one or nothing, okay? They don't care about shooting and shooting kids by accident and women by accident. And it's not just Chicago. I mean, there's people like that all over the country. There's people like that in New Orleans, whatever, right? But the fact that I've been saying, I feel like you need to take, because people will talk about, oh, we need more programs and this and that. No. Some people are so damaged and such a menace to society that I think that they should put them all in a boat, sail that boat out into Lake Michigan, okay, 1,000 miles out, and let them sink, okay? That's it. Because they're running amok a society and just causing a whole bunch of harm. They're offering nothing productive. Some people say everybody has a purpose. No, everybody don't got a purpose. Some people's purpose is to get rid of them before they cause more unnecessary destruction. Because there are people who died and get injured and they didn't deserve that. And that wasn't God's plan, okay? A mother coming home, to her kids and gets killed in a car accident, by a drunk driver, or, a whole family getting killed. Imagine if you, as a man, lost your wife and your kids in a car accident. Imagine if you, as a woman, lost your husband and kids in a car accident because somebody was reckless, drunk, and didn't give a fuck. Nobody wants to hear, oh, God needed their angels and everything happens for a reason. No, some things was not part of the plan. They're absolutely fucked up. There's no justification for it. It doesn't make any sense, okay? Period, point blank. And that person who's driving around reckless, drunk, and not caring, hang them, okay?